Join Jesus where he's already at work. We dream of the day where every home in America is adopted by one or more persons living the prayer, care, share lifestyle. Our host, Gary Kendall, began Love KC with a desire to see every home in Kansas City prayed for. Join with him to make this happen. Now, on to the Bless Podcast.
Okay, welcome to the Bless Podcast, where we join Jesus where he's already at work, where we live, learn, work, and play. And we're so excited today to be able to welcome Amy Mitchell and Mariah Harvey with us, have them with us from Anchor Her. And Jade Van Slyke is my co-host today. So welcome to each of you.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It was fun to have you two ladies on our prayer call a couple months ago and to be able to pray with you and learn some of the ins and outs of what's happening with Anchor Her. Such an exciting ministry. And it just made us want to tell that story in a little broader fashion than the audience that was listening that day. So Amy, why don't you kick it off just by telling us a little bit, in case people don't know what Anchor Her is. Give us just kind of an overview as a starting place.
Sure. So at Anchor Her, we embrace, empower, and ignite women impacted by incarceration and addiction. Our goal is to help connect them to community and resources that they need as they're reentering society, so they will be more successful and they can get home to their families. Mm-hmm. And it's just been an amazing journey so far. Mm-hmm. I myself went through that when I was young. So God has God has used Anchor Her as a blueprint for others, just what he had put me through, what I'd went through, and God had brought me out of this beautiful, crazy place. And now I can help other women get out of it and get to where they're trying to go. It's amazing.
Yeah. I want to pick up on that just a little and go a little bit deeper, Amy, because when we had the prayer call, you told a little bit of the backstory, and that involved Mariah when she was a very young girl. And I think that's such a cool story. I don't want to skip too far ahead, but knowing that backstory makes what you're doing today but what both of you are doing even better. So can you take a little step back, maybe just go back to those days and kind of what was going on with you and how God used that real dark time to be the foundation for something beautiful?
Sure, I'd love to. So when I was 19 years old, I got pregnant with Mariah, and I lacked resources and finances. I was on government assistance, and I had done some things that landed me in jail. And that night in jail, when I was away from her, they were going to take her out of my custody to some family in Oklahoma. And I was like, no, I can't have that. So I literally just got down to my cell and I was like, please, Lord, don't take her out of my custody. I'll do anything, right? I was trying to cut a deal. But man, it was beautiful because I did get out of jail. I got her before she was taken out of my custody, but I still didn't really know what to do at that point because I lacked resources and wisdom. But by the grace of God, I got into this shelter called Safe Home at the time, and they helped me with a mentor who walked it out with me and discipled me. And then my life started changing. I started getting on my feet. I started working, and just every little thing you would think the next step would be, I was able to take. God used her in my life to bring me to where I am today. And I was on probation during that time. I got probation instead of prison. And then later on went to work in probation and got to help others going through probation. So God just redeemed every little piece. And we're seeing this with our women, like how he's redeemed our life, our relationship, brought us through this journey. Like he's doing that with other women. And when women see us, they're like, I want that with my daughter. I want that with my family. And then to see them obtain it is just amazing.
Yeah. And so I just love the fact that God is a redeeming God, and he doesn't waste any of the difficulty, even if we bring it on ourselves. Like he's not about shame. We don't have to grovel in what's happened. He's about grace. He redeems, he restores, he brings beauty out of ashes, and he's done that. So Mariah, I just got to ask you, when I'm hearing this story, I know, and you've lived it, you've heard it so many times, but kind of what goes through your mind as you think about the role you play when you hear a story like that and you think about what you're doing today? What is the unique kind of gift that you can bring to the ministry?
I definitely think the child aspect. A lot of the women we meet their children and their families, and we also go into a lot of juvenile detention centers. And a lot of those kids have been through the same thing I was going through as being a child, through just the life's ups and downs. And it's really, the Lord has really used it in getting to really relate to them on how they feel in the moment right now. And just really getting to relate to them and just to let them know they're not alone and they're not the only person that's been through it, and God has totally just redeemed that aspect of it.
One thing I can say, one thing I can say to add to hers about her, what she does to it, when she's saying her story, when we went through domestic violence, a lot of people don't talk about like what the kids are feeling at that time, what they're dealing with. And so she's able to bring that out, how she felt helpless. And we're able to really talk through that with the juveniles and different people. So I think it's so helpful in that part. She's amazing. She helps out with that.
It's beautiful what God's done.
It absolutely is. Yeah, I've loved getting to work alongside you guys and just see just God just really just flourish in your ministry. So it's just been a true joy for me to get to know each of you. But I'm curious about you guys and wanted to know just what about Anchor Her makes sure each of your hearts soar.
You want to start?
I'd say for me, it's a lot of times when we meet with the women and meet them one-on-one, or they come to our support group, you see just this hope light up in their eyes. And it is so beautiful. And even like, I'd say 70% of the women say that they had no hope at all until they had met with us or until they had came to the support group. And just to see that hope and just to be able to share God with them and see like, they thought it was just all hope was lost. And now they have hope again. And it's been awesome to see that.
That's beautiful.
I think with me, I love, number one,
The sober eyes, just seeing the sobriety in their eyes and then seeing them looking at their children with those eyes, the children getting to be a part of their journey now where they had lost, custody and hope and getting them back. That just makes my heart soar because I have that mama's heart.
I've definitely seen that in both of you and just love the relationship of you guys working together and making such a big difference in this world.
Thank you.
So thank you for the lives you live and how you serve so well.
One of the big things we're all dealing with in this world, this crazy world we're living in, is COVID. And every ministry I know has had to pivot until no one wants to use that word anymore. It's like a bad word. We've had to pivot so many times. But I'm really curious just to see how God has helped you to be able to navigate this last, say, year and a half, because it's probably been one of the most unusual times I've lived through. And every ministry's had to kind of figure out, how do we show up? How do we help? How do we change? How do we grow? What can we do for the women, or in your case? I'm just curious to see how's God shown up in the middle of all of that?
Yeah. So, wow, God has done a lot in it and surprised us both, because when they started shutting everything down and shutting everybody out of the jails and the different things, we're just like, what are we going to do? And then, of course, without knowing anything about this virus, everybody's scared. I was scared, to be around people. But the one thing I knew as they were shutting down some of the groups and stuff and people trying to be sober, they need community. So I was like, Lord, show us, what do we do? And he highlighted this reentry home that we started with, and we just started meeting in a park, and we were doing our best to, do social distancing and everything. And it was terrifying, but beautiful at the same time. And we're just like, God, we're giving you our yes, and we're trusting you to just take care of it. And so we did that. And up until it started getting a little too cold. And then when the cold started coming, we're like, okay, what are we going to do now? We can't stay in a park. And then by the blessing of God, we got into Homer's Coffee. They opened up their coffee shop to us to have the meeting there, and we took it there. But women just started coming out of the woodwork and come into this group, people that have come out of incarceration, people that are in reentry, and God knew what he was doing. Even in the darkness, man, this light just came through. Boom. It was just beautiful.
I love that. What a great story. And I've heard of so many stories like that. One of the things that's kind of a focus for us at Love KC is we talk about how that every single person is created by God with unique abilities. God puts his fingerprint on each one of us. And so when his handiwork inside of us gives us natural kind of gifts and abilities, but along with those natural kind of gifts and abilities, there are passions that we develop that come out of our value system. And we see those values and those passions begin to like rise up in the life of a person. It's where they like can't not do something. You can tell them no, you can put every block door in the way, and still they'll find a way. It's just the beauty of what God has done. And I see that in you guys, and I love that. And I really want every single person listening who's a disciple to follow Jesus to know that we can plug into ministries that exist, and we have some satisfaction in serving. But when we find those areas of serving that really connect with who we are, where we've been, the passions God gave us, it's like ministry doesn't feel like work. It feels like, how can I not do this? That's like what I was made for, Exactly. And I see that in you guys. I just want to affirm that in you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very thankful.
Yes, I love just your creativity with that, and how you guys have had to just kind of think outside the box and just really just see everybody with the way that Jesus does. And I think that is just really such an amazing blessing. My next question for you might be similar, but it might be different. I'm not sure, but just curious about any unique challenges that you've had this year. I don't know if that's COVID related or if there are other challenges that you guys have faced working in ministry this year.
Yeah. Do you want me to say, or you want to
Yeah,
say?
you go ahead.
So this year, I think the challenge has been a lot of funding got pulled away and stuff. So we had to go through that during the COVID thing. So that was a challenge. And then just like we're kind of crippled by our own success in a way, because we have been so successful and we have a lot of women now. And so we're just trying to get more pegs under us as we multiply, because the multiplication is happening. Our women are taking it back into the jails, back into different meetings and stuff. And it's beautiful. It's just all happening big and fast. So it's been a little bit of a challenge.
A lot of wisdom and resources.
Yeah, kind of scaling from something smaller to something larger is always a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
The one thing I love about you too is just how God's just wired each of you so uniquely. I've just really seen that in you, is that I think that the way you guys work together just as a team has really been a beautiful thing, and just so uniquely just formed to be able to work together in ministry or whatever you're doing. And I think that's just a really amazing thing. I see, Amy is being real like big picture and real visionary, and Mariah I've seen really is doing a lot of the nuts and bolts kind of day to day kind of stuff. And I think that's just been a true joy.
Well, the difference in ages is really important too, because you have people at all different ages along this journey. And so I think that the ability for each one of you to relate to your generation or people in your stage of life, that's really valuable as well.
It has been. It's been very awesome to work together, and she keeps me grounded because I could be way up here, and she pulls me down and she's like, okay, how does this look practical? And she helps pull it all together.
Amy, my wife.
It's also good. She brings out creativity. So where I'm like, why in the world would we do that? And then it works. So
my wife likes to say, Amy, that even every kite needs a tail. Because in my family, I'm the one who's dreaming these big dreams and thinks we can do it tomorrow, and she's kind of the tail on the kite and says, I don't want to be a downer, but and then she has all of the problems we have to solve to be able to accomplish the vision. So that's a great, way you guys can support each other and collaborate.
For sure.
I have a question for you that's more general. It could be related to Anchor Her, but probably this is one you want to each answer personally. But in this time of growth, whatever season you want to go back to, what's some kind of learning or stretching point for you? Like what is, talk about a time or a place or a way that God is kind of teaching you something new, and it's caused you really to have to grow as a result of that.
I would say for me, I am very much a slight perfectionist and control freak sometimes. So with this, I feel like I've grown so much and really just trusting the Lord and not bringing my own agenda or what I think it should look like, but really just seeking the Lord on what do you think this should look like? What should our next steps be? And really getting to partner with the Lord and just to see his ideas and to see his creativity too. It's been awesome to grow in that area and just to really surrender.
That's good. Thank you for that.
I could almost say ditto to that, but I will tell you that God has grown me so much through all of this, just in our personal relationship and the ministry. And like, it terrifies me. Sometimes I'm so terrified and I quit like every day. I'm like, I give up. This is too hard. And then he just shows me it's not my strength. It's his, right? I can't do it in my own. And then like when I'm casting vision and I'm thinking, and I just start thinking, well, we could only do this. I have to remember, like, that's not a God dream. I want the God dream. And it's not going to happen in my own ability. It's going to happen in his. And it's just so much reliance on him. So much, literally cloud by day, fire by night.
Oh, that's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I just love the way you guys are just truly just surrendering, and relying, on the Lord for that, and in prayer, and with such humility and just grace. And I know that's what it takes, and that we can't do it alone, but can do it through prayer. And that's really what Love KC it's really all about is praying. And we do have 3,000 lights in Kansas City. And let's say one of our 3,000 lights would like to connect with Anchor Her, maybe practice a part of the prayer, care, and share lifestyle. How would they do that?
One thing I'll say, and then I'll let Mariah give some of the practical side to it, is when you were talking about that, like, we've gotten to where we are right now through crushing and the breaking and the pressing. So when I say prayer is so needed, prayer is needed. And we have a lot of people praying for our girls, literally their specific, or women, their specific prayer needs. And we can always use more of them. But I feel like that we need even more prayer for us in the leadership and then the multiplication, to be praying into that and to praying for us. That's one of the ways. And then
As far as getting connected with us?
Yeah, like how they can get connected to us and different things.
Yeah, a great way we get connected to a lot of people is even on our website at anchorher.org, we have an option where you can enter your contact information and it sends it right to our emails. And we get to connect with a lot of people, whether over coffee, over Zoom, and just to really see, like, how can we best partner, or how can, we partner and Anchor Her and invite them to our support group. That's always a good starting point, is coming to the Monday night support group just to see Anchor Her and really experience it. But yeah, there's always those coffee connect dates to kind of go from there.
There are Monday nights at Homer's, Mariah?
Yes, Monday night, 6 to 8.
Great. And so someone can go to your website, they can sign up there to be on your mail list. And is there a way they could contribute there? Is there like a donor link on your website?
Yes, we have a give tab.
Great. So if you could summarize for me, Amy, when you talked about, hey, we have this new challenge, we've grown so much and we're trying to figure out, what's the next step or whatever. Let's say that someone wanted to come alongside you, and maybe they even had some significant funds they were willing to invest. What would be something that you would say, hey, we need this right now. This is something, a place you could plug in right away, or you could help with. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what is a way that someone could make a difference if they had a mind to do that?
Yes, we definitely need good wisdom. This is new for me and for Mariah, launching a nonprofit, and we've been good and we've stabilized these last few years and everything. but we could definitely use more wisdom into making it last long and to becoming self-sustainable for the long haul. So we need a lot of wisdom and resources there. But yeah, I think that's really where we're getting, because it's kind of like the fishing thing, you know, like you can give me a bunch of fish, but if you teach me how to fish, it's better. So we're looking for people that can come alongside us to have some of the wisdom in the areas that we don't, some more people.
Yeah. It seems like, and part of what I'm remembering, so I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but when we did the prayer call, you talked about the possibility that you might even look for a home or a place in the future where you could be able to have women on site. Is that still a part of the dream?
Yes. So that is within, honestly, our 5-year dream. I really want to get that in there. One thing that's happening is when some of the women are getting out of jails or transitional places that they're at and needing to go to the next step or next phase of transitional living or going to their own apartment, people end up putting them in hotels because they think, okay, well, at least we can get them in a hotel so they're not homeless. But the bad thing about that is women have been victimized in those hotels. Women, and this happens a lot. They're either victimized or they're offered drugs. It's just not a good place for them to go in the interim or whatever. But what we would like to do in this, and we're trying to get this building all built up. We have it in our mind. We're getting it out on actual paper, you know, with the architect friend of ours, but getting it written out where we can have those transitional beds there that can meet them in between. So we're still plugging and help using the resources already that are at work in our city and stuff. But we also want to have this because that's where it's lacking, super lacking in that area.
I thought I remembered you saying something like that. I was hoping you would say that again. You never know, you know, God has given his body different gifts. You know, some people might have a gift of wisdom, like you mentioned, but some people have the gift of giving. And they look for opportunities like that to take a ministry, you know, from one place to a different place, you know, to get from point A to B. There are things you can't do, you know, without a facility like that, or you can do them in just different ways, but not as coordinated. But having that opportunity might be a big step forward for you.
Yes, we really believe that it would be a huge step forward. And just for the other things that can go on that we have dreamt about for this actual building in place. So it would be amazing to get the help to do that.
Yeah.
Help a lot of women.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there was something that would provide a breakthrough, per se, what would that be for your ministry?
Well, definitely getting the funding for this project, that would be humongous, and just in general, but also just getting some more. I think that just building up our team a little bit more, the leadership team.
Yeah.
That's going to help.
Your next leaders are probably in your pipeline right now. There are people that are like you guys, you know, they're on their way, and they'll be a part of your team in the near future, which is cool because the DNA that you have for Anchor Her will be in them, and it's easier for them to reproduce than if you try to bring someone from the outside.
Yes, we're seeing that a lot with our women that are going back into the jails and just different things. They are the leaders. And even when we were down with COVID, they were leading the groups for us, the support groups and stuff. So it's been going beautiful.
I love it.
Great discipleship right there, you know, and that's what I see you guys doing. I've heard, you know, countless stories, just how you guys have always shared people that have gone through your ministry and are then pouring out into others. Would you want to share any stories or anything without obviously using names or anything like that, of just ways people have just life change and ways that people have chose to then give back into community?
Yeah, I would a little bit about that, and then I'll tell the other.
Yeah, there's a girl I've been mentoring, and we've probably been doing it about a year now. And now she is actually leading a recovery home, and she is a lot of women, probably about 3 from the group sponsor. And so she, a lot of stuff that we have walked through and talked through, she now gets to go tell them. So she's telling these women who now want to be leaders too. So that it's just like multiplication. And it's just been so beautiful to see, and so quickly too. It's been awesome.
That's awesome.
And even we have women that are like even sowing seeds into the ministry, even if they just have a few dollars or $10 and even some more. They're just like, we just believe in this and it's done so much for us. We want to do for others. And then the gal that she was talking about, that she covered, her and one of our other gals covered for COVID. And she's like, so we went and got the journalists, we got this, we got that, we're doing it just like this. And it was just so beautiful. And I was like, just be creative and fun and let God just pour through you what he's, taught you. And it's just so amazing because we have so many women that could literally do it today. And they are going to start different groups around the city. It's going to be planted in different areas of the city. So it's just really cool because we need a lot of women need support around the city.
That's exciting. I don't think we've talked about this, Amy, but one of the things that Love KC has on our vision statement for 2022 is to replicate what we call the bright spots, things that are where there's something good happening in one district or one part of the city. We divided the city into 5 districts. North of the river's 1. There's a north and a south on the Missouri side and a north and a south on the Kansas side. And so it falls easily into, you can easily know what KCK is or KCMO is if you're in Kansas City, or what Johnson County is, or, et cetera. But we would love to see whatever is a bright spot somewhere be multiplied and located into the other districts of town, because no doubt they need it. And it is a matter of scale. You can't do that until you have, people who understand what you're doing and they can replicate it. But I think that's the beauty of disciple making, that when Jesus called the disciples to follow him, they would become like him by following him over that next 3 years. And then they would go do what he did. In fact, the definition of a disciple is a disciple replicates the life of their master. So if that's true, and we are disciples, then making disciples is what disciples do. And you're doing it, which is beautiful. And that's really what we want every Christian to grasp, is that none of us are just kind of along for the ride in God's eyes, like just going to groups, going to church and being in a group, letting God change us personally. That's only part of it. The other part is for the purpose of reproducing others, who can go do what we've done, go do what Jesus did. So I would love to see what's happening, with Anchor Her be all across the city at some point in time. And God's perfect timing, as God prepares the leaders, we can all pray for that, not just one home, but maybe multiple homes.
Yes, amen. We're all for that. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I know that it is such a big need in Kansas City, but really across the United States. I just think that it is definitely very needed and necessary. Probably now more than ever. But we always like to give our guests an opportunity to talk about something that they had hoped that we would ask. So I wanted to see if there was anything else that you had hoped that we would ask you guys today.
Well, you kind of did about the house, because I hadn't planned on talking about that. So that was a big thing. And I guess the only other thing is right now I'll be working on getting a book out for these women that are still incarcerated or still in the transitional living centers or shelters, to help them with their journey on the way out. And it's all based on scripture and just wisdom that God has brought through my broken pieces. So
that's beautiful.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Very good. Well, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah. I'm excited. We're so excited about what God is doing. It's scary and terrifying and exciting all at the same time.
Yes, it is. And what a great example. So thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mariah. So great to have you on the Blessed podcast today. Thank you, Jade, for being a co-host. And what we would say to all of the people who are listening is, we can celebrate what God is doing with Anchor Her, but we actually want every single person listening to find their own, place of ministry where they can replicate their life, where they can live full of passion, and on the edge, live on the edge like you guys are living on the edge. I think that when we allow God to take us to those places where we would absolutely fail if he wasn't the one sustaining us, it's that place right there where we find the greatest fulfillment, flourishing, growth, and everything else that makes life wonderful at the same time that it's challenging. So we want that for all of the listeners.
Thank you.
We are so thankful for you guys. One thing I forgot to say too, I'll just put out there, in May, we will be having our recovery event, which is bringing a bunch of the recovery community in Kansas City together to provide a place for people to come through and see what resources are out there and just hear about Jesus. So yeah, that's another thing.
Glad you thought of that. Mariah?
I think, yeah, she's covered it really. And the other thing too, I was thinking while you were saying, just for everybody to find, how God can use them. And even the women we disciple, and as they're discipling others, it's beautiful to see how, even though they are doing what Anchor does and leading our groups, they have their own way of doing it. And everybody is so unique. God made us all so unique. And just to find, whatever ministry you want to do, whatever gives you life, but to remember you can do it authentically, and how God has made you. And it's just been so beautiful to see that too.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, we're going to stop talking here and let the people who are listening go find their place of service and ministry. They're fit into the kingdom of God. And then later on, we can tell their story. So we often end with the same way we began, go find where Jesus is already at work and join him there. It's usually where you live, learn, work, or play. One of those places. So thank you for joining. Thank you guys for being a part of this.
Thank you guys. Bye, Jay. Bye.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for listening from the folks at Love KC. We hope you enjoyed our program. See you next time.